Hi, Zizaran here with another video, and this is a build guide for the upcoming Merciless Gauntlet, which is featuring the Freesia Ascendancy. So the normal ascendancies like Berserker, Trickster, etc. are completely gone. You cannot ascend them at all. Remember, it is a class gauntlet, so it does not matter necessarily if rank 1 is a Trickster or a Marauder. Like the top 1 prizes will be given by class. So when somebody finishes the gauntlet on a Shadow of any ascendancy or finishes the gauntlet on a Marauder of any ascendancy, those are different prizes. So this is a Marauder ascended as an Ancestral commander within the Freesia ascendancies, and it should be an extremely good starter with some caveats. The Hillock is really hard on this build. I actually have a separate video with gauntlet tips and tricks where I do a Hillock guide, which might sound like a joke, but you really have to be good at moving counterclockwise with Hillock and not getting hit, because it's very likely that he will one-shot you. And even though I am the creator of the gauntlet, I've asked GGD not to tell me any unique possibilities, so some of the suggestions I give to GGD on what I'd like to see would be Hillock firing the Shaper Beam or Exarch Bullet Hell from Hillock. Don't know what they've actually put in, but obviously this could be really hard as melee. So, you know, some tips is don't get hit. And also maybe treat him like Uber Hillock, where you have to level to level 4 or 5 to kill him, at least on the melee ascendancies. So as normal, we're using Path of Building. If you need the extreme hand-holding of our normal build guides, Gauntlet's going to be really hard for you, but you should try it anyway. If you're over level 10 to 15 levels, you might have a chance. We have had new players that are completely new to hardcore that have finished the campaign in Gauntlet by overleveling 15 levels per zone. And that is a very good way to approach the gauntlet. And remember, in this gauntlet, you get a cosmetic, a unique cosmetic that they've made just for the gauntlet that actually tracks your progression in gauntlet, which I think is very cool. So this is Ancestral Commander Earthshatter, and we're using POB like normal. I have a video explaining how POB works if you're not familiar with it, but I do suspect if you're not familiar with POB, you're also going to have a really hard time in the gauntlet. We start out with Ground Slam, and then you can either do Spectral Throw or Ground Slam, depending on preference. I massively prefer Ground Slam, and this is extremely similar to the Earthshatter Berserker that we just had a build guide for the Mercenary League. Instead of the pseudo Defiance of Destiny you get from Berserker, you get more similar to an actual Defiance of Destiny from Ancestral Defiance. You get 3 Endurance charges, which is obviously huge. You get Action Speed, cannot be modified, so this gives you Freeze Immune. Armor from equipped body armor is doubled, and you get Warcry CDR and Warcry Speed. So a lot of juicy things for Earthshatter here. As far as the ascendancies goes, the reason we take Call of the Ancestors first is it's pretty tricky to keep the endurance charges up in the start. So we don't take that until we have some more like duration, etc. If you're wondering about that. And if for whatever reason you don't like Earthshatter when you swap, you can absolutely stay Sunder. Both are super viable. I massively prefer Earthshatter, and you would normally switch to Earthshatter around maps. You really need a 20 quality on your Earthshatter. You can get that by farming normal, cruel, or Merc Lab, and some people are going to be farming normal lab anyway, just for gear, let alone for alternate gems. Obviously, some people will use the Volcanic Fissure. It's very popular. I didn't like that as much, and I feel like it takes more to come on Earthshatter. But just farming normal, cruel, and Merc Lab for a bunch of quality and gear is super viable in the Gauntlet. A lot of people do 20 to 50 labs just for gear. And also quality on your gems is very important. Now, I want to make sure this is updated in the POB when we're posting it, but having a different cooldown recovery on your cries is very important. So we're obviously using auto exertion, but if you have different quality on them, so that like the cooldown is, let's say, 8 seconds, 7.6, 7.7, as long as the cooldown on all your war cries is different, they're going to be triggering your Earthshatter a lot more reliably. Instead of, let's say, all of them, where every 2 seconds, they're not going to... You're maybe going to miss some Earthshatters. Hopefully that makes sense. So you want the cooldown time of your cries to be different. Obviously, the one that you're self-casting, which I believe is Rallying Cry and Enduring Cry, those you can just have 20 quality on. It's whatever. And farming Merc Lab for like a day... unironically, like a day, and getting quality on everything is really, really good on this build. It just really nice to get quality on everything, and so much gear. You can get level 75 to 80 in Merc Lab. It'll make killing Kitava a lot easier too. Obviously, Lab is pretty hard as well. It is a very straightforward build, especially if you play the Berserker or Earthshatter in the Gauntlet. And obviously, it's very automated. It's one button. You're just running around, clicking Earthshatter and some Warcries. Now, for Rallying Cry, you do need to pop it more often than a Berserker. You need to do like every 6 attacks or so, but you only need that for single target, like really tanky rares, and we have way higher cooldown rate and stuff like that on this, so it should feel good on the Ancestral Commander. And the reason we do that is because of the overexertion, right? It's an additional like 10% more damage plus, or sorry, the 18% for each Warcry exerting them, so it's quite large. You will really notice the Rallying Cry exert there. So keep that in mind. Like I said, very, very nice build, very tanky. Definitely one of the easiest builds to get 95 on, I would say. Crafting axes as well. We have several axe crafting videos. They're super easy to combinate. You can get really good axes from gambling with gold. I used most of my... Like, until I had a 500 or 600 DPS axe, I was using gold on axes. And then once I had that, I was using gold on chests to get an early 5-link. And you have a very large chance of a 6-link. I'd say it's probably 300 to 500,000 gold on average for a 6-link. So that means that hitting one on accident in 50k isn't... It's not outside the realm of possibility. We very often see like people in chat going like, dude, I just got a 6-link gambling a random chest. Now, the problem with trying to get that on a weapon is that you're gonna get some random ass space very often, right? You're not gonna get a Valax or a Career Chopper on a 6-link. As far as axe bases go, Career Chopper is the best in slot. Valax is what most people go for because yes, it's slightly lower damage, but it feels a lot better for mapping because it's higher attack speed and it's not crazy high attack speed so that you're always out of the extorted charges. So it's a really nice middle ground. Other than that, what makes this build so strong is that there are no uniques you need. There's nothing crazy you need. You literally just, it just plays. It just works. And that's what's so nice. That's why I had it as a starter myself. And so did like 60% of hardcore for the season. Make sure you farm amethyst rings before you go into Act 6. And, you know, try to do some blight early and get Hatchet Master. It's a good way to get Onslaught and drop Silver Flask. And then you're using Basalt, Quartz, Granite. Yeah, obviously you don't get suppression, but you are quite tanky. You're getting a lot of max stress here. And you also, like, if you're really desperate, you can pick up max stress here as well. So we have, this is to 95. Pretty good. Basically what we played on Berserker. We'll see a lot of people playing this, and we'll also see a lot of people playing this and then swapping to other builds later that might need uniques. So maybe like setting up a trail, farming uniques, hoping to get things. One of the more reliable starters. Again, super hard to kill Hillock on a Marauder. Decoy Totem, by the way, very worth mentioning, is your best friend the entire gauntlet. Keep it as long as you can. It is super strong. Will make a lot of bosses just super trivial, almost. You can support it with multi-totem. It won't let you summon two at once, but if it's still alive by the time you can summon a second one, it'll let you have a second one up. So multi-totem is actually quite nice if you have enough gem spots. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Early on, use Life Tap, and then endgame, you want Fist Leeched as mana on Glove, Amulet, or Jewel. And during leveling, until you have it on a Jewel, Amulet, or Glove, you can use Spirit of War as well. Keep that in mind. And then, yeah, you will 100% need the -7 mana cost on 2 jewelry to be able to really do the auto exert. If not, you're just going to run out of mana. And then once you have that, you can have Life Tap on your main thing, like your main attack, and your auto cry will cost like nothing or 1. It's very little. So it's really nice. You can also do reduced mana cost of attacks from Searing Axe or Complicit. But yeah, so surprisingly little buttons. Feels really good. Mercenaries, obviously a little bit scary. I would probably recommend just not fighting any. But yeah, you can get the aura ones. Determination's not the worst idea either. Grace is also really good, but that means not taking Unwavering Stance, which is kind of bad. So if you're able to get, let's say, Grace, an aspect of the Spider, I enjoy that a lot on my Berserker, and then not having Unwavering Stance, because I got, with a Jade Flask instead of Basalt, I think I had like 55k armor and 20k evasion. So that was worth dropping Unwavering for. Obviously, you can't have Unwavering and evade. So I found that worth it, but I would only do that if you get a really good Mercenary. And there's a lot of good things you can get on a Mercenary. Again, they're super rippy. I don't know if they'll all one-shot you. They might. Once you have one, it's forever though. So that's nice. Can't lose it. But obviously you have like Perkle's Toe is nice. Shaper's Seed is really nice. Tario's Chest for increased aura effect. There's a lot of juicy things. Either way, it's going to be a tough gauntlet. Other than that, I would look at like Bama from Ostrix, I think will be really good. He's doing that as Ancestral Commander, I believe, as well. Another thing that would be really strong would be pretty much any totem build and playing like an absolute bitch, because that'll gain so much power from overleveling. But that's pretty much it. Bandits are Halpalera, you want the res, Brine King, and Relicash. And then obviously once you have the Canopy Frozen Ascendancy, you can do Lunaris or Solaris. You probably want Lunaris for the Avoid Chain once you can get that. Should be a very solid build. I hope you all have a wonderful time this gauntlet. Not too wonderful. Ideally, chain die, but then make it well on your like 11th character. But either way, thanks for watching. Sub if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.